There we go. Hey, Mario. So I had a question about Jabil Skinner. Can you sort of update his progress? I know the receiver's got a little bit of a depth issue. Could he maybe be a help in the passing game?
He's certainly developing at a high level. He showed up in the first couple of games and played a bit. Didn't play much, if any, last game, but it's not in any way an indication of him or his progress. He's a guy that we have intentions for playing more. He has proven himself. He's certainly a guy that could help us in a lot of different ways. He has grown enough and has gotten enough gains in the strength and conditioning department to play in line, to play off the ball, and to play. He has a skill set to play outside as well. So we'll be using him in the best way possible to help our offense.
Go to Susan Miller-Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead for Coach Cristobal. All right, Susan, we'll come back to you. We'll go to Luke Chaney from All Hurricanes. Luke?
Hey, Coach. So given the injuries to Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George, and I guess given the lack of depth that there originally was in that receiver room, have there been any other players who have been taking receiver reps that otherwise weren't before?
You mean other guys playing receiver that haven't played receiver before?
Yes, that was a yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you only have you could practice in essence throughout the course of the week, a first and a second team, and some threes get the reps. So outside of the receivers that we have, there isn't much of a change you can have. You have what you have. Do you use different ways to get the ball to different people? You have to find ways to manufacture yards and points or whatnot. And certainly we're looking at everything, especially the detail of how we do things. So to increase our level of performance, it's that simple, right? The timing and precision and the detail of the passing game will always determine its success one way or the other. So we're working as hard as we can to make that better.
Go to Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam?
Hey, Mario. So obviously, coming off your first loss at Miami, the first time we kind of covered you, coming off a loss like this. So how do you personally and your coaches kind of keep a team focused and keep them, up for a game like Middle Tennessee, coming off a game like A&M?
Well, as I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's a little bit foreign to me, the concept of doing anything but focusing on getting better. I think any team with good competitive character will do that. We always assure that, when you leave a game, whether you win or lose, you still assess, was it your very best? And whatever wasn't, you have to elevate it. Does that make sense? So for us, it's always going to be that, losing a game for myself personally, that's one of the questions. It doesn't get any more difficult than that, especially when you play at a place that you coached at. It probably hits a million times harder. And that's okay as long as you're using that as continued motivation to get back to process and get better, because you still have to go back. How can we get better? How can we improve? Because that's the only way, right, to make progress towards your goal. We feel like we have made progress. We feel like we are improving the areas that showed up in a negative way on Saturday, but there's no flinching, or there's no hesitation as it relates to that. It really is full speed ahead with really nothing on our minds but improving.
Looks like Susan's off mute, so we'll try her again. Susan, go ahead for Coach.
Hey, Coach. So, you have an open week after this week. It seems very early. I know you have no control of it, and you don't have any midweek games this season. So how important is it not just to win, but, to do very well on all the things you're working on in the process, knowing you have that week off? I just kind of wanted to know in respect to the week off and, what this means.
There's no thought or talk of a week off. It's certainly not in any way, shape, or form part of our focus, our plan. Our attention right now is completely on us getting better, on playing the best football we can, and that will not change week to week. Our most important practice is the next one, because that's what we have coming up. We treat everyone and every aspect of our process that way. We don't come off of it. We're very strong-minded in the sense that if you suffer a loss, you don't get rattled, you don't throw up your hands, you don't panic. You stay the course of always trying to get better, and that's what we're doing.
Go to Daryl Streeter from Footballville. Daryl.
Yeah, Coach, how you doing? Miami is tied for 86 in the FBS for plays 20 yards and more, with 3 rushes and 9 passes. What needs to happen for those numbers to improve?
To be more explosive, right? Some of it is creating plays. Some of it is coming up and performing and executing on the plays. It's a combination of both those things. So
Go to David Wilson from the Miami Herald. David.
Hey, Mario. I know DJ Ivey was a guy you guys were really high on all throughout the summer and into the preseason. And obviously seemed like maybe one of his best games as a Hurricane on Saturday. Just looking back to the summer, what kind of had you guys so excited about his potential, and what did you see from him over the weekend that kind of matched with what you guys were hoping to see from him this year?
well, we were excited just watching his level of commitment to the program, the way he worked and the way he practiced. Practice performance is a real strong indicator of what it's going to look like on game day. He didn't disappoint. He played big. He played strong. Game 1 wasn't his best game, but he did recover nicely. And then game 2 and game 3, they were strong performances. And everything he worked on and improved upon showed up the next couple games. Certainly this last game, he showed a tremendous ability to not only tackle and create some tremendous opportunities for our defense, but he was excellent in coverage as well. He was excellent mentally. So excited about him in every aspect. Not only that, but also as a team leader. The guy's a great example for our team.
All right, folks, got time for 2 more for Coach. We'll go to Frank Tucker and then Manny Navarro. Frank, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Last week was the first time we saw you guys dip below a 50% mark rushing the football. Despite rushing for about 5 yards a carry and having a lot of success in the run game, we kind of saw, the offense go away from it a little bit. Was there anything specific that you guys saw that made that happen?
Well, it depends on the way you're posturing the analysis, right? Did you see how many total plays did we have? Was it 81, 82? And there were 41 passes, is that correct? So I believe runs, what were the run numbers? It's a little bit under 50%. Sometimes an RPO will dictate that as well, right? A number, the person you're reading will have the ball either spit out or handed off. That'll always create a delta of 8 to 12% with the opponents that we play. And there were certainly some things there in the passing game that we saw that we thought we could take advantage of, and that we need to execute and plan and coach better, and we didn't. But I think our plan and the way we attempted to call the game, I think it's pretty consistent with landing in that range, so, and then with a tight ball game as well, sometimes that dictates whether you're going to throw it or run it a little bit more one way or the other, but I don't see much of a variation from balance.
All right, last question from Coach Cristobal comes from Manny Navarro of The Athletic.
Hey, Coach Cristobal. Wanted to ask you about the running backs being involved in the passing game. Obviously, when you go short a couple of receivers, I'm sure you want to get them more involved. Just curious if the opportunities have been there and if maybe that's more of an emphasis going forward.
Well, I think anytime that your passing game isn't on point, you're looking for different options and different ways to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Sometimes deep throws and, contesting shots down the field a little bit more. And sometimes you use your backs and sometimes you use your tight ends. And we're certainly finding ways and looking at different ways to get the ball in the hands of different guys that have shown they could do something with the football.